Hey there, it's Laura Worklow with Sewing Genius on YouTube and Laura's Sewing School in Ashland, Wisconsin. So I have this knit laid out here, and when you work with knits, especially a soft knit like this, it seems to be a brushed ITY, integrated twisted yarn, which is really a polyester, but it feels super soft. Kind of reminds me of sandwash silk from many moons ago. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a pair of leggings. I want to practice with this pattern, and I happen to have this in my stash. And even if I cut these short leggings, because I'm wearing a dress, I rarely wear dresses. And this is actually a dress I like. This is a Benning dress by Seamworks. They had it free, you know, if you just signed up for their email list. So, and I made some modifications. It's a drop shoulder, and I added a sleeve, and I felt it was too low, so I added a panel here. So I did a few things to it, which I'm known to do. Anyway, I decided to do a pair of short leggings because when you're heavy and you wear a dress, you want to have something just to be more comfortable. You know, I guess some people call it chub rub. You want to eliminate that. So this pattern right here is a plus size pattern, 1X through 5X for leggings. And I'm not going to make full length or even short leggings. I'm going to make them just above the knee. Like a little bit above the knee. And so I wanted to try it out. I'd like to, if I like it, I'll go ahead and make it out of, say, merino wool or maybe some viscose or something like that. But anyway, so I'm going to try this out. Since I haven't made it before, and the amount of stretch in your fabric makes a difference with the way it fits. I decided to trace off the pattern. This is exam table paper, what you sit on at the doctor's office, and you can see through it. Like if you put it here, you can see the stripes through it, and it's a nice thin fit. I mean, with this day and age of PDF patterns, which this dress was a PDF pattern, I did tile this dress together. And then I was in the Twin Cities, and I had it printed for a couple of my students so that they didn't have to do the trim and tile it together. But anyway, I like to use this because it's much more like tissue paper, and you can see through it if you're trying to match something. It's just so much easier to work with. So I said, I don't know if this size is going to be the right size for me. So I traced it off, and I figured out where I wanted it to fall. Now this might be longer than I want, but I can always cut some off. And then the other thing I did is that if you look at the bottom here, this tapered, and so I folded this up at what I made my hemline and flared it out to match this shape so that the circumference when the hem goes up is the same. So anyway, so I made these, and what I found is that this particular stripe is not symmetrical. If you actually look at it, it's, and so I wanted to make it look symmetrical on my pieces by basically having this here and then cutting the second one right here, okay? And I could just do that. In fact, in the time that it takes me to make this video, I could probably have had it done, cutting the two out. But I wanted to show you, I want to cut them both at the same time, but match the stripes. So I'm going to fold the fabric, but a lot of times it's hard to fold fabric, especially when it's really soft, and it kind of sticks to itself because it's got this soft finish on it. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to try and fold it without help. So I found this technique. I figured this out years ago. No one showed it to me. I just said, how can I do this and make it work for me? So maybe you'll find it's helpful for you. If I'm doing a top, I'm going to trace it out as a full top, not just a half, and lay it on the fabric. That was an idea that came from Ann Steves, who owns Gorgeous Fabrics out in Massachusetts. I've known her for years when I lived out there, and she is great with her sewing techniques. She's actually written articles for Threads magazine. And I don't know, maybe I got this from her. I could have. I can't help myself when I see fabric I like. I know it's wild colors, but it works for me. The dress I'm wearing is rather subdued to my normal wardrobe. So I've got this ruler here. Now it's kind of a funny looking from this side. What it is that it ended up being a yellow ruler. I was looking for a 60-inch ruler. 60-inch rulers, aluminum rulers, are great in the sewing room. But you can't get them at the hardware store. They have 48, they have 72. Well, 60 is my favorite. So I ended up ordering like about 6 of these or so, and my students bought them for me. And then I wanted to keep it from slipping when I'm cutting next to it. So I ended up putting a faux suede on the back. And that's what this green is. And now that I live in Wisconsin, I feel like I'm not a Packer fan, but it seems like I'm a Packer fan because it's green and yellow. But anyway, by this being here, there's a little weight to it. I can fold the fabric up and over it, and it'll stay in place. And it'll give me a nice line for folding. So let me do that, and I'm going to try and match up these stripes, try not to stretch it out. So I can go like this, and just a little pull against there without moving the ruler. I did move the ruler a tiny bit, you might have caught me. And I'm going to go like that, and just waft that. You kind of got to get some air underneath what you're doing. And this is stretchy. This has about a 75% stretch. So the pattern requires a 50% stretch, okay? Now, what does that mean? Every pattern envelope, like Jolly patterns, they'll tell you the percentage stretch that is determined you need for a pattern. Pattern envelopes tend to just give you a knit stretch guide. So here, it has a black bar, and it says you should fold your fabric across the stretch, hold it here, and see if it stretches at least to here, it's stretchy enough for it to fit, okay? It's stretchy enough to work with that garment. You can have it stretch to here or more, but you do not want to use a knit that doesn't stretch that far. It will not fit you and it will not be comfortable. So what they do, they tend to use a 4-inch scale here, and this is 2 inches. So if you pull from here to here, well, 4 inches to 6 inches, you increased it by 50%. So it's a 50% stretch. If you had a scale that just stretched 1 inch beyond the 4 inches, that'd be a 25%. You know, so each inch is 25%. So if it goes from 4 inches to 5, it's 25%, 4 inches to 6, 50%, 4 inches to 7, 75%. And about the only knits that are 100% stretch are like rib knits, like on rib tanks. And that would be like 4 inches to 4 inches, okay? So you're mainly gonna find 40% knits. Interlocks are 25%. And so this stretches like 75%, and that'll work. Now, hopefully they won't feel too loosey-goosey. So that's why I'm trying it out. Okay, so I'm gonna finish folding this over the ruler. Like this. Kind of waft it. I'm trying not to stretch it. It stretches quite easily, you know. Boy, it's like if you make a pattern and you really love the way it fit, and then you make it again and you go, boy, that didn't fit as well. And I say this because this has happened to me. It could be you picked a knit that didn't stretch as much as that first knit. Even if it met the knit stretch guide on your pattern. So when you work with knits, a lot of people are like, you wear knits all the time. We wear knits every single day. Sometimes all of our clothes are made out of knit fabric, but it's harder to work with, and there are more considerations, you know. But once you get used to working with it and understanding those considerations, well, then you can make a lot of really nice clothing rather quickly. You don't need darts for the most part. You know, basically the knit takes care of the fit. Oh, that kind of rhymes. It does rhyme. Okay, so now I've got that folded over. I've matched the stripes quite well, going up and down, because I want to, and it's best to get air underneath it and bring it back down to move it, because just smoothing your hands, you'll stretch the knit and it'll stick to itself, kind of like vinyl sticks to itself or whatever. Now this is hanging off the table, but it'll still work. I'm going to tip the ruler toward me and grab it in 2 spots and pull this closer to me, because I want to be reaching that far from the edge of the table to do my work. So I'm going to take this and tip this up and pull it toward me. And I made sure that the rest of the knit would move easily, okay? So now I can just lay that out, and just a little tweaking, not much, okay? And I'll just check. Make sure that fits. Yep, that fits. And that is the back. No, that's the front. The back is a little higher because it has to go over your back side. So the back is a little higher, and that fits also. So I can I can go with what I did right there. So now that I've finished that, I'm going to pull the ruler out. Now when you pull this ruler out, of course I have that non-slip back on my ruler, so it could stick to this fabric. So it's like that tablecloth trick magicians used to do, where they go to a table with all these dishes on, and they go with the tablecloth, and all the dishes would stay on the table. Well, you kind of have to do this with this. You can't just pull it slowly. You have to kind of pull it out quickly. And then, you know, you can take and adjust it because it pulled off to the side a little bit. But that should actually work pretty well. Then I'll go ahead, and I figured it was a little shorter on that side, so I'm going to be putting these over here, and I can see through it, so I can see where do I want those stripes to go on the front and on the back of the garment. And then I can either pin it down or I have wiggle weights, and I'm going to use a rotary cutter to cut it out. And then I'll go ahead and start serging. So thanks for watching.